To kick off hour number 2 is football royalty to my left, courtesy of Advance Auto Parts, 4-time Super Bowl champ, Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe Montana. Good to see you, Joe.
Great seeing you.
You are the man. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I do a lot of cool things professionally, but to be sitting here on this set at the Super Bowl looking at you with the Vince Lombardi trophy in between us, this is pretty much up there, man.
Yeah, it's pretty fun being here. Thanks for having us.
Of course.
As usual, always good to see you.
Appreciate it. Right back at you as well. When you look at this trophy, what do you think of, Joe?
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I got a few of those.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah, you just think back about the games, and the games just was so much fun to be a part of, and you just wish everyone who played could have a chance to be in it and experience it. But there's nothing more fun than reaching that pinnacle at the end of the year.
And then we got a photograph of you right here. That looks like the Detroit Silverdome to me. Is that where you?
I think so. Yeah.
What was? I mean, how were you able to be cool under the pressure of the Super Bowl as much as you were, Joe?
I think a lot of it just came from, what Bill taught me from early days was preparation. It's I always explain it to like younger kids and people that don't understand. It's like, you remember when you would go in to take a test in school that you hadn't really studied for? You remember how nervous you were?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so do you remember when you actually did some work and you went in to take another test?
Yes.
How comfortable you were. And it's the same type of thing. It's being prepared from every day at practice. He demanded perfection from the quarterback. He demanded from everybody, but especially the quarterback position. I think he lived through the quarterback position for a lot of it. And so when you get to the game, you've seen almost everything. And, we spent a lot of time studying. Not only our plays were ridiculous.
What do you mean by that?
We had so many plays with so many formations, and you had to study. Back then, you didn't have the ear thing, so we got signaled to play, not the formation.
Right.
So if it had 3 formations, you had to know which formation Bill wanted. And we would start, our final total would be 120-some pass plays and another 30-some runs. And it was so funny because Theismann we lost to Washington in the championship game, so Bill was coaching the Pro Bowl that year. So we get there, and day one installation, Bill puts in 35 pass plays. And Theismann turns to me and goes, "Wow, that's awesome, man. He put in all the pass plays in one day." I go, "You're crazy. He's going to install till Saturday."
For the Pro Bowl?
Yeah. He goes, "No way." I go, "I'm telling you." I go, "I'm not even studying this. This is too easy." And sure enough, he installed all the way on Saturday. And but he just, it was overbearing. But you learned to be prepared and how to study it and what to know. And when you went to the game, it was just second nature.
So let me drill down even more. Who was at that Pro Bowl? Who was at your first Pro Bowl in Hawaii?
Oh, my gosh.
Joe Montana. Give me that one. Because now we're all talking about, flag football.
I can't remember,
now,
but I remember the one Pro Bowl where I had Mike Quick and Chris Carter as wide receivers.
Yeah.
Insane. And both of them said the same thing to me.
Which is what?
"Hey, you get in trouble, just throw it my way." I go, "I only have one ball, guys, so who should I throw to?"
Well, I mean, but you had Jerry Rice. You must have been used to somebody saying, "Throw me the football."
Well, yeah, but no, you know what? Jerry never said. Jerry's personality now is a lot different than when he was playing.
What do you mean?
He's just a lot more outgoing now. He's gotten more comfortable with everything. And all that's over with. But you get in the game, and Jerry, you open? Yeah. Jerry, another play. Jerry, were you open? Yeah. You look at the film, there's 3 guys on him. Yeah, okay, Jerry, you said you were open. But he rarely said a word.
When did you know he was extra special, Joe Montana?
Well, in the beginning, he was, the first couple of days of practice, he was just getting beat up. Balls were hitting him in the face, everything he could do. And he'll even admit it. But then all of a sudden, one day he catches a pass and turns and runs like 60 yards to the end zone. And we're like, your wide receiver is supposed to catch the ball and turn around, run 10, 15 yards and come back. He scored a touchdown every time. And we're like, no matter how far it was. And we're going, "God, come on, you're the first pick, you're a rookie, you don't have to do this." But that was his nature. And then I always, when I talk about motivational people, that's how he practiced every day.
Yes.
So is it a coincidence that he's the NFL's all-time touchdown reception leader by a big number? No, because that's what he did every day. He scored touchdowns. And he just had a crazy knack. Wasn't the fastest guy, but you're not going to catch him. And to getting behind people. He ran, I don't know how many posts he ran. Like I said, if I'm playing Jerry Rice and I'm on the other side and I'm the defensive coordinator or head coach, my free safety, if Jerry Rice gets behind you as you're chasing him, just keep running. Go right in the door, go change your clothes and go home.
Right.
I said, don't let him behind you. But he had a knack for getting behind people. And then it's easy.
Of course. Joe Montana here on the Rich Eisen Show. And before we move on to the here and now, can you tell me the famous story of you noticing John Candy in the crowd before that 2-minute drill to the Bengals in your second Super Bowl win against them?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of funny because, as you know, TV timeouts are forever in the Super Bowl.
Tell me about it.
So I had been to the sideline once, maybe even twice, and we were just standing out there waiting for the signal to start to play. I think we had the ball in the 8, and Harris Barton was a people person, so we were free for dinner during the week, but practice and meetings, and then come back after dinner and more meetings. So when he would come back from dinner, he was like a little kid. He could not wait to tell you about all the celebrities he saw while he was at dinner. And so we were just standing there, and between the tight end and his shoulder was framed John Candy. And
in the crowd?
He was on the sideline.
Oh, he's on the sideline.
And so I sat there and I looked and I go, dang, I don't remember Harris saying he saw John Candy.
This is what you're thinking in the Super Bowl with minutes to go, needing to drive down the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So I walked over and said, "Hey, man, there's John Candy," and Harris stood like this for 8 minutes, perfectly still. He was a little bit anal that way. He would not move. He was like little. I didn't do it to unwind him. I just thought he would appreciate seeing John Candy. But he started mumbling some things. Super Bowl, you're looking at Candy. What do you know what's going through? I don't know what he said completely. I understood a few words, but now he appreciates it now more than he did back then before we started the drive.
Did you ever meet Candy, or that was the only time?
Yeah, no, I had met John a few years before that. My contract was up.
Okay.
And he was, one of the owners of the Toronto Argonauts.
Okay.
He was trying to get me to go to Canada.
Come on.
Yeah. They just didn't have enough money.
But if the price was right,
I might have been wearing an Argonaut uniform.
Yeah, you'd have a 55-yard line. You'd be like, I'll do that. So he legitimately said, hey,
Yeah, we had a couple meetings about. Yeah.
You did. So this is real. Like it wasn't just like
no.
oh, by the way.
No.
Wow, I love that. So what do you think of Mahomes and Hurts, seeing these two guys play the way they play in a Super Bowl, Joe Montana?
Both a little bit different, obviously.
Yeah.
What can you say about Mahomes? Totally. He can do anything you want, however you want, when he's healthy. I hope he's healthy for Sunday. So we see a good game from that side of it. And Jalen's just having a tremendous year. I mean, both throwing the ball, running the ball. Man, I just realized how big he is. That's a big fella.
He is. What advice would you give him for his first Super Bowl, Joe?
What I always looked for in the game, no matter the Super Bowl or not, I wanted to get hit first. I wanted to get hit sometime early. Please hit me early.
Why?
It just kind of gives you a different feel about the game. You're not looking for that hit. Well, it's a little bit different now because for him it's probably a little bit better. They don't hit you as much. But I looked for the first one just to kind of get your mind right and get past that first.
Was there one particular first hit that leaps out at any of them, or?
No, not really. But
okay.
It was just, always got to. Both guys just have to do what they do, and it's this week that bugs you the most, right? As you get, we had more fights during this week in practice.
Really?
And even we never wore pads. So just because you're ready to play a game in 7 days, typically, right? And you get in that feel, and now you got 14 days.
Yeah.
Your body's ready, your mind's ready, and plus it's the Super Bowl on top of it. You want to get going. There's nothing better than once the whistle blows and the ball's kicked off, and then things change. And you don't hear the crowd as much. You don't. I mean, my concentration went more to the things that I was had seen, on film.
Yes.
What the plays we were talking about, looking at. I still laugh when the guys are looking at
their tablets.
the tablets. When I think about the New Orleans when we first used to go there. They had a string or a wire from the way up top where they'd take photos and they'd put them on those metal clips and they'd slide them down to there. And so you're looking at these little black and white.
That came off of a string from the top of the Superdome?
The cable, the little tiny cable. They'd drop them down and they'd come down to you down on the field. It's like a little different now.
Yeah, I would say.
So, but yeah, you're constantly looking at things and going over what happened in the last series. But once the ball goes, he'll be ready to play.
The most valuable play promotion for Super Bowl 57, courtesy of Advance Auto Parts. What's this show?
It's kind of a fun thing because you look at some of the numbers, right? So in the Super Bowl, if either quarterback throws a touchdown pass over 25 yards,
yes.
Well, doesn't have to be a quarterback because we know some of those other guys throw passes too.
Yeah.
But
Hines Ward would raise his hand and tell you that.
Yeah. So the first touchdown pass over 25 yards, if you're registered on advanceautoparts.com for the promotion, you have a chance to be one of the 25 people who are picked to receive free gas for a year at the Shell stations around the country. And on top of that, you get a $500 shopping spree at Advanced Auto Parts. So fun thing out there. You look at, you think it's a little bit easy thing, but so far in the playoffs, there hasn't been one.
Well, you threw 4 touchdown passes of at least 25 yards in the Super Bowls you won. That's why they, I guess, imagined they plucked 25 out of not just thin air, but from that statistic. AdvanceAutoParts.com to register on all of that. So before I let you go, I know you've chimed in on this subject matter, and I hope you don't mind me asking again. The next quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, you would think, to best move this team back to the Super Bowl is who, Joe?
I know they said he'll never play there, but I'll preface it with the guy that just got hurt. If he was healthy, he'd probably be the guy.
Purdy.
But he has an injury to his throwing elbow, a ligament. Medical world has advanced a lot.
Yes.
Rehab's done a lot different, gotten better. How soon he'll be back is unclear. Who's won the most games for you? And he said he'll never play there. I don't know how you get rid of Jimmy. He fits that system a little bit better right now than Trey, I think. Trey runs a little bit different offensive style than Jimmy does, is used to. Jimmy's a pocket guy. Trey, he can play in the pocket, but he's more of a, that run-pass option kind of a player.
Right.
You had a Super Bowl team. How do you get rid of a quarterback that got you to the Super Bowl once already until you know whether the other kid's ready?
Right. So you would keep Jimmy and see if Lance can get up to speed and compete? Would you throw it out as a competition?
I would say it is a competition, but if it's even close to being even, I would start with Jimmy, so there's not as much pressure on Trey, because whoever starts that season next year, there's going to be a lot of pressure if it's not Purdy. He's expected to be the starter, but I just look at, and I'll be the first one to say, when Jimmy first got there, I wasn't a big proponent of it. But he fits, and mainly you can't keep him healthy long enough. He hasn't been healthy yet, but he wins games. He's been winning games for him, and that team's loaded.
Now, I know Jimmy said, that he's out, and that they also said that that Kyle said he doesn't envision any scenario in which Jimmy stays. But we've heard that song before, haven't we?
Never say never, right? It's an old saying.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I just think it's hard to turn it over to You know, Purdy got the job because everybody was hurt.
Yes.
And I don't think that was expected of him. But I think they realized that he can play. He knows that system. He understands it. He understands he's got playmakers. He doesn't have to try to make a play. He doesn't have to try to make a play with his feet unless he's flushed out of the pocket. And he can make plays if he has to. But that's, you know, I mean, look at the weapons he's got on offense. It's crazy.
It is.
So I'm just not. Trey may be closer to being ready, but he's lost a lot of time because he's been hurt. Right. On top of that, the little time that he's played, Jimmy's been hurt too, but he's come back and played well when he's come back. So I don't think you can get rid of him. That's just my thought. I don't go around. Just so you know, I don't hang out down there. I don't talk to those guys.
Sure.
But all I know is that's kind of the way I would look at it.
Well, I asked. And thanks for coming, Joe Montana. You're the
My
man.
pleasure. Thank you for having us. It's always great to see you.
Always great to see you. That is Joe Montana, Pro Football Hall of Famer, four-time Super Bowl champion. Again, go to advanceautoparts.com, register. Anybody throws a touchdown pass over 25 yards in the Super Bowl, you got a shot to score. Free gas at Shell stations nationwide and a $500 shopping spree at Advance Auto Parts. You're the man. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thank you, man.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.